Hello, and welcome back to Nikki's Scrapbooking Adventures. Today, I'm going to try to use more of my kit for the October Counterfeit Kit Club. I have a lot of paper left, and I needed some help with some motivation to try to use my kit more. And so I looked on the blog, and they had ideas for titles. And you can take a look at what you want to use as your motivation to try to use your kit. I chose the saying, perfectly imperfect. And as I was flipping through my photos that I had ready to scrap and printed, I found these two photos of my puppy when we first got her. Now, she is a German Shepherd. But I think what happened is her anxiety got the better of her when I was at school. And in crates, they have a black piece right here that the dogs usually sit on. Well, she tore that up. And then I replaced it with some rubber mat or red mat that I thought was sturdier. She tore that up. And eventually, I actually had to use a metal sheet that had rounded corners so it wasn't sharp, so that she wouldn't tear up the bottom. She even dug into the floor. It was that bad. So my title is going to be Perfectly Imperfect, because look at that perfect little cute puppy face. So innocent. Not the naughty little girl. I could use the title seriously, but I really wanted to stick with the prompts that they had for October 11th. So next, I printed off the page maps sketches, and I am going to focus on this sketch right here. So I've got my two photos cut down to 3.5, I think, by 5, and then 3 by 5. So what was this one? This was 3.5. I guess I could have gone 3 3/4, but I ended up just going to 3.5, which is fine. Okay. So then I cut a 9 by 9 block to fit my photos on as a mat. I then took this piece right here, and this piece is 2 1/4 by 6.5. So 2 1/4 by 6.5. And I had this piece which fit perfectly right here with all the houses. And I chose this house paper specifically because we had just welcomed her home. And this is what she does to us. Come on now. This piece is probably 6.5 by 3 3/4. And then I felt like this paper was appropriate because she tore her nest up. I know it's a dog, but it's a bird's nest, you know, they live in the same place. And this piece is 2 1/4 by 2 3/8. Okay. So you can see there's a little bit of a margin there, and that is intentional because this is a grid design. So then, if you look at my sketch, there is a grid, and that's my yellow. And then they've got a paper behind it. So that is going to actually be this paper, and I thought it was cute that it was bows. Okay. And I did end up gutting this pink paper because the yellow is what's right here. Okay. So there's that. And then I'm going to mat this one again with this piece right here. So right now I'm in the process of cutting this down. So I was going to show you what that's going to look like. I'm going to try to save as much of this paper as possible. So I'm going to start with an edge with using my We Are Memory Keepers layer guide. I am butting it up against my paper so it can't move. And I'm using the 3/16 of an inch. I'm going to go a little past where I think it's going to be. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing on all 4 sides. Okay. Now, my purpose in doing it this way is because I can use this outer edge then on a different layout as a mat. So I have now essentially gutted this piece of paper twice. Make sure I don't rip that, but actually cut it. And there you go. So I've got a perfectly even mat. And this paper is directional, so I'm going to go right here. Okay. And look at how perfectly that fits all of these little flowers. So I am using a lot of pattern in this layout. And that is intentional because I have a lot of papers left. Okay, so now I need to adhere everything. But look at how cute that is. I've got bows and pinks and yellows. Now I did try to flip this. Let's actually do that while we were on camera here. So here's this mat. This is the only thing really adhered at this point. And this is my title. Where am I going to put this? Now, in my sketch, they have a circle for their title right here. I really want those houses, though. My title may land up right here, right across the top there. Okay, and then my journaling block will go there. I think. I like the pink better. Well, okay. Here's the pink. And here's the yellow. The yellow just makes them pop a little bit more, right? Yeah, I think the pink makes everything blend in too much. Yep, we're doing the yellow because the pink makes it blend in too much. Okay, so then perfectly imperfect across the top there and some journaling. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere and then bring my clusters in so we can show you that later. Okay, I wanted to show you guys this real quick. Another way to use your We Are layer guides. So I'm using the 1/16 of an inch, and instead of butting it up this way like you normally would, I'm flipping it. And I am trying to line it up so that it is lined up perfectly with the edge of my yellow piece. Okay, and then I am going to take my photo, which already has adhesive on it, and I am going to try to get that to be 1/16 of an inch right there as well. Okay, and then I'm going to take this guy, put adhesive on it. Okay. And now, because I've got this lined up, I can push against it and try to get even margins on either side of this block. Okay. So that's how I can start a grid design. Okay. My next photo is going to go right here. Now, instead of going from this side or right here, I'm going to line it up right here, butt it up right there. Okay, make sure it's nice and even. Whoa, upside down. This doesn't look straight. Well, it is straight, okay. But it is off right there. Okay. I'm very right-handed, so I gotta figure out how to get this the best way I possibly can. Okay. Okay, lining it up in this corner. Now that looks crooked, and I think it's because this cut is crooked. So I'm just going to pull this up here and rotate it just a smidge so that it is straight. So notice that I didn't lift this corner right here. I left that down and I just rotated my photo based on that corner. So that is done. Now I've got this. Now grid designs are nice because once you get part of it down, you can get the rest of it down pretty easy. So I am going to guess that this is about there. Okay, try to make it as straight as possible. There's that. Let's make sure this is gonna fit. Oof, I'm gonna have to cut that down. Wait. If I rotate it, it will fit. Okay, so I'm gonna need to cut it down just a smidge so that I can have a little bit of a white space there. So I'm gonna cut this end, well, I'll cut that end. Just a smidge. I am going to use my trimmer because it is the straightest way possible. Go like that. There we go. See, now I've got a little piece. This is definitely a bird paper, but that's okay. Oh gosh, okay, so, right, I'm looking at this corner and this corner to line this up. There we go, all done. Okay, so now all my base page is adhered. Okay, so I have adhered everything, and I think I know where everything is gonna go now. I pulled several stickers, I pulled a punch, I used some pattern paper, all sorts of things to figure out how to embellish. Now the sketch wasn't very helpful in coming up with clusters. They've got a little something here between the photos, they've got a little something here, and their journaling goes right here, as well as that. Well, their title is super small compared to my very large title. I had thought about putting it down here, thought about moving it up here. Well, I landed with the title being right here, so that the perfectly is right in line with the houses, and this is right in line with the houses as well. And look at how perfect these little downspouts are in between my F and T. That works great. Okay, so there's that. Then I thought about using some vellum to emphasize my title when I place it down. However, I felt like the vellum was taking away from the fact that it's perfectly imperfect. So I am just going to adhere my title right down. Not worrying about if you can read it or not, because that is part of the story. That's part of the theme, is that it's not perfect. And then the little dot. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so there's my title. Bing, bang, boom, done. Okay. And then from previous layouts, I had cut apart one of the sheets from the Pink Fresh collection. And I'm going to start with my base right down here. Okay. Then I'm going to add a little house. And that house height is going to be dependent on my balloons. Since this is high and low and about our new puppy and new house, I am adding those balloons and hearts. And I'm going to add a black cloud. Boom, boom, boom. Because during my story, this wasn't a happy time. I was pissed that she had torn up the bottom of her thing. And for something a little different, I added my journaling in Vellum. So you can still see the pattern paper through it, but you've got your journaling here. I'm going to move all these down just a little bit so you can actually see that word family. Okay. But you can still see the clouds, you can still see the high and lows. So there's my first cluster. Now I'm planning on doing a visual triangle. So a cluster here, a cluster here. So let's go to that cluster. So again, I'm bringing in this black cloud because this was not a happy time. I've got this flower that I stamped on a previous layout. Wasn't a huge fan of it. But here, it really brings in that pop of light pink that my layout needs. And then I'm going to use this feather to bring in some of this dark purple and the turquoise. And then I've got the struggle is real from one of those, from that Pink Fresh sheet I cut out. I'm going to move this down a little bit more. Okay, so you can still see that it's a cloud, but it's overlapping everything. And I've got this little yellow heart because I need that pop of yellow to tie in this background and the fact that it's got yellow right there. And then a little birdie to emphasize. Let's put the birdie right here. Actually, putting the birdie right there. To emphasize this color here and this color right here. Okay, final cluster is going up right here. Now I have a little imperfection in my photo. I'm not sure what happened, so I'm going to cover it up. Okay, and then I'm going to use a feather again to pull in some of that pink. Usually I start with the biggest and work my way up, but in this case I'm actually tucking. So I'm going to tuck this right in there. I'm going to tuck this flower to bring in the yellow. Let's move that down just a little bit. Now this flower is cut off, so I am having to cover up that part. So I'm really trying hard not to see that portion of it. There we go. This up and down needs to be down further. That's what my problem was. Okay. And then I'm bringing in the birdie again. Okay. So those are my 3 clusters. Now to glue them, what I am going to do is I'll show you. Okay, so I got my Tombow Mono, and I'm using this because my pieces then can move. Okay, So, there you go, now you can see. I know this is going to be tucked behind, and this right here is going to be tucked behind. So I am just holding it firmly in place and glued that down. So the next piece that I'm going to glue in my cluster, I'm going to rotate that. Well, no, I can't rotate it. I'm going to rotate this a little bit. There we go. Is going to be on this cloud. Now, the majority of the bottom of the cloud is underneath. I'm just going to do a small little line. Tuck this under right where I want it. I think I want it right there. I don't want to cover up the eggs because that's the whole point. She was in her nest. Okay, I'm going to put it right there. See how that Tombow Mono allows you to move your pieces around? Okay, so now I have a solid piece that I can glue down. Vellum. Vellum is a tricky thing to adhere because whatever you use is going to show up behind it. I'm going to trim this down. I'm going to trim this down. Okay. So I'm going to leave that right there. Right there. Nope. Move it up just a little bit. Right there. So that looks good. Vellum. So my diamond glaze does say it is compatible with vellum. But I've used this before. Let me see if it dried. Hang on. So this is a previous layout I had Vellum on, and you can see exactly where that glue went. It's a little bit of a darker shade. This one I didn't really care about. It was actually just kind of a test to see what would happen. So I think in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my ATG. We're going to see what it looks like on a piece of scrap first. So here's my ATG, because I haven't figured this out yet, what the best way to adhere vellum is. ATG it is. Look at it, you can hardly see it. Yep, we're going to try that. Yeah, you can hardly tell it's there. So ATG it is. Okay. Since there's such a simple fix for something that has been made so incredibly hard. Yeah, you can't even tell. Oh, now you can, because okay. Well, mystery is still not solved. But that's okay. It's on there. I don't really care. Okay, and then I'm going to use this. If you guys have any suggestions on how to adhere vellum, please put them below. Maybe next time what I'll do is just not rub it in. That kind of sounds like a good idea to me. Okay, so there is my first cluster adhered. And I will go back in and get any up, because these aren't totally adhered. I'll go back in with my tacky glue from Scotch and get in these little areas, because this is a more fine line tip. So we're going to do the same thing. We are going to start from the top, and I am just going to just go along these two edges. Now, The tricky part about this is that you have to have it exactly where you want it before you adhere it. Okay. I think that's where I had it. Let's just double check. Oh, don't want to do it upside down. Okay. Yep, right there. That looks good. And I was going to move this up just a little bit. Right there. Move that over. There we go. Okay. So everything but this heart and that bird are adhered together. My Tombow is running a little low. Okay, right there. I'm gonna stick that bird right in there. Yep. Okay. Just a little bit of glue. Right there. And now I can lift the entire thing up and glue it all together. So there is that cluster. Okay. Final cluster, I'm going to rotate it so that I can see what I am doing. So I know for a fact that I want this up and down to go like that. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the bottom so that I can tuck things under. So there's that. Now I'm going to tuck this under. Because this isn't adhered all the way just yet, I can get away with moving stuff. Gonna tuck this under as well. Pull it back up just a little bit and right there, because that's yellow and I needed that color. Final piece to tuck is the cloud. Okay, and the birdie. We're gonna tuck it right there. Okay, so birdie can get some glue completely. I'm going to tuck this under this somehow. Right there. I think that looks good. Okay, with this cluster specifically, I had adhered it to the image first. So I am going to go in with my tacky and just go along the edge here. Okay. And then the back of the birdie. Gotta get something right there. And right here. Now notice I am not popping anything up on foam, not doing anything fancy like that. Okay. I guess it did not adhere to the image, and that's okay. That means I can add however much glue I want and not have to worry about using that other glue. So just like that to cover up that imperfection right there. So that is my finished page. It didn't take long. I originally used the prompt from the Counterfeit Kit Challenge blog on October 11th to come up with the title, Perfectly Imperfect. And I used my counterfeit kit to complete this layout. I still have a lot of papers left, and I think I'm okay with that. I'm going to put this kit aside at the end of the month, keep it all together so that I can play with it in the future. And that is going to be my layout today. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns in the comments. I will link to the Counterfeit Kit Challenge blog so you can see the prompts. And at the end of the month, I will show you all of the layouts that I've made with my kit this month. Thank you!